Last time you saw I had to abandon the build due to the difficulty in getting the hydraulic line through the frame. And by now I'd even lost the internal plastic guide cord, which was pretty useless anyway with a hydraulic pipe. In this episode I'll show you how I overcame this and some other hurdles I faced as I completed the build. I checked out videos that suggested using a vacuum to suck dental floss through the frame. But remembering all the time I wasted in the past trying to bodge things, I decided to invest in one of those magnetic kits that people recommend. However, if I was going to have to spend the £50 Park Tool ask for this kit, it would have been back to the dental floss. But in the event, I found this highly rated kit on Amazon for just £15. And I couldn't believe how quickly I managed the job with this tool. The strong magnet snaps onto the end of the flexible plastic coated wire as soon as it's located. It's then a case of guiding it through the frame. I did reach a snag as I was catching the inside where the chainstay met the bottom bracket. I guess it was some sort of butt joint. To get around this, I used a large Allen key, poked the short section into the chainstay and attached the magnet to the end. That transferred the magnetism through the Allen key and immediately latched onto the cord. You'll see here that I covered the end of the magnet with tape to avoid scratches, but this was belt and braces because I doubt it would have caused any. It was then just a case of screwing the correct attachment into the hydraulic line so I could pull it through. And the connection was really strong, so there was no chance of pulling it off. Now, I've noted there are similar kits on Amazon at half the price, but this one had the best reviews and also included various attachments for different systems, including DI2. So I'll add a link in the description in case it's something you need. But of course, remember it won't work on steel frames. It was now time to connect up the hoses to the shifters. Even with the wide Redshift bar, these were still too long, so I did need to cut them down and add new fittings. All of the fittings are supplied in the Wheeltop kit, so there's nothing more to go out and buy. But before I did this, another challenge faced me. It's necessary to remove the brake pads and replace them with the Wheeltop kit's included bleed block. The brake pad retaining screw is secured with the smallest C-clip known to mankind. And as you can imagine, it pinged off, never to be found again, even with a metal detector. So I purchased a selection box of clips in which the correct size was included. But I still lost 3 more while trying to install them after the bleed. So this is the only criticism I have of the Wheeltop product. It's a small thing, it's a really small thing, but it's something they really need to address. The hose insert required some pressure to fit, and I noted there were special tools for this. I didn't want to bother David, so I made up a block out of plastic with a slightly undersized hole bored through it. And then I cut this down the centre and used it to clamp the tube without crushing it. This is where another error could have occurred had I not thought it through carefully. The olive must be threaded onto the tube before inserting the insert, as you won't get it on once the insert is installed. Fortunately, I didn't fall into that trap and everything fitted perfectly. While the hydraulic lines were pre-filled with mineral oil, cutting the pipe had lost some oil and introduced air, so needed bleeding. After bleeding Shimano brakes, I really wasn't looking forward to this, but others had said how easy the Wheeltop system is to bleed. But these were professionals. The oil is introduced through the caliper using the supplied syringe until no bubbles are coming out into the cup on the shifter. I did have to have a couple of tries before I got firm levers, but that was probably due to my lack of patience and lack of knowledge. On the second try, I removed the calipers so I could move them about to expel any air trapped inside, which I thoroughly recommend because this really did help. I also oriented the bike vertically when bleeding the rear caliper so the air was travelling upwards towards the shifters. And a bit of ingenuity, I used my massage gun to ensure all the bubbles were encouraged out of the system. And I soon had good firm levers. The levers were levelled vertically very easily by aligning with the marks on the Redshift top shelf bar. But I also needed to ensure they were lined up in the horizontal axis. I used one of those flexible curtain wires to measure from the stem cap to the top of the hoods. and this ensured that the hoods were in exactly the same position. I did say I was going to use my Fulcrum summer wheels, but I decided I should treat this bike to an upgrade. My go-to parts supplier is Merlin Cycles, and they offered a good deal on a pair of Fulcrum Sonic ALX aluminium wheels. Fulcrum state that these are their flagship aluminium wheels. Now, I was always going to use Fulcrum wheels because they have this unique two-way fit system that makes installing tubeless tyres a breeze. And these two-way fit rims, paired with my Schwalbe G1 Allrounds, mean that I can inflate my tubeless tyres just with my Thumper electric pump, or indeed a track pump. It also makes removing tyres easy. And there's not that feeling that tyres are welded onto the rim that I've had with other makes of tubeless wheel. And being two-way fit, it can be used with tube tyres also. So if you decide you don't want to be tubeless anymore, you can easily stick a tube tyre on. The Sonic ALX also incorporates a welded bridge, which means there's no requirement for rim tape. So now I was ready to fit the chain and calibrate the drivetrain. This is something some Wheeltop users complain about. Ironically, it's the flexibility this system allows that causes the issue. Unlike Shimano and SRAM, the Wheeltop system can be used with any make and size of cassette, including 14 speed that doesn't even exist yet. Now, I did say that I wasn't going to try to show anybody how to build a bike, but I am quite good at setting up this Wheeltop system, so I am going to make a specific video that details how to calibrate the system, and it's really not difficult. Much of the issue previously was caused by Wheeltop's poor translation into English, but they do listen, and this has been improved. For example, the calibration was done through a section of the app titled debugging, but this has now been changed to fine-tuning, which is exactly what it is. These are wireless shifters, so must be paired first, which they often are out of the box. Mine weren't, but the instructions on this are clear and it's very easily done. The levers can be configured to operate exactly as you want them, but I'm going to cover that in a separate setup video. For dinner plate cassettes like mine, I would recommend winding in the B screw all the way to ensure that the derailleur arm clears the largest ring. I didn't do this to start with, and I even thought I'd been supplied with the wrong model. I used the app to do the setup, but you can also use the levers. Frankly, the app is easier as you can stay next to the cassette without reaching for the lever. You set it to the smallest ring and use the screw to ensure the jockey wheel is lined up. The screw is hiding under this cover, but it's easy enough to remove. The first thing to do on the app is set it up for your cassette. Now in my case it's a 12 speed, which I selected, but on the initial run through it wouldn't shift into the biggest ring, which is a 50 tooth. And this is where one of the biggest benefits of the Wheeltop system comes in, but also the one that can cause people confusion. On a conventional system, the gear cable adjusts all gears at once. But with Wheeltop system, each ring can be fine-tuned separately, and you do this via the app. Each gear setting has an assigned value. The smallest ring is 0 and it increases for each ring. So it's logical increasing the value pushes the derailleur toward the larger rings and decreasing it does the opposite. So in this case, I increased the value of ring 11 until it shifted to 12. After a bit of tweaking, I had it running perfectly. Now it's important to remember that after each adjustment, it's necessary to change to a different gear, then change back again, so that the system memorises the new position. So it's then just a case of adjusting the high and low screws to prevent overshifting at each end. One slight issue I had was when fitting the chain. As it's a single front ring or a 1x system, the chain is a special narrow wide type, which ensures the chain will stay on when at the extremes, i.e. cross chaining. This means that each sprocket ring and jockey wheel must be in the correct position when fitting the chain to locate it correctly. And this is because the teeth alternate between narrow and wide. So you've obviously got to fit the chain's narrow and wide links over the correct teeth. And just a note about this chain, it's the SRAM Eagle flat top that's required for my chain wheel and cassette. The flat top provides extra strength through more material in the outer plates, which compensates for the cross-chaining and improves shifting, quiet operation and increases chain life. The very last job was to tape the bar. And with good weather forecasts for the next day, I suddenly saw the possibility of giving Gloria her maiden ride. For taping, I used the excellent method described by Parktool, which is the third method described in this video. And I'll link that for you in the description. I was using the Redshift extra long bar tape because I had the wide bars, which apart from being extra long is also extra strong, so it allows the necessary amount of tension when wrapping. Now, while extra long is necessary when using wide bars, it's really so good to use. I'd recommend it for any bar length. But first I had to install the Redshift cruise control system. This system provides extra comfort through ergonomically designed top grips and drop grips. And this increases the variety of hand positions, so helps eliminate numb hands on long rides. The drop grips provide a comfortable hand position, which when combined with the low profile bar drop, makes riding in the drops a pleasure. I first made sure the bar was clean and oil free with some isopropyl alcohol. Then the top grips are positioned to suit. It's important to sit on the bike and get the bar set up as you'd want it at first. Redshift have obviously thought it through and know they'll have people like me fitting these things because they supply 2 sets of double-sided fixing tape, just in case you get it wrong the first time. Then it's just a case of using the supplied tape to hold the grips in position while the adhesive cures, to ensure there's no movement while adding the bar tape. And at this point it's important to keep the cables out of the way so they don't interfere with the top grips. With the cruise control drop grips, you mustn't tape to the bar ends, otherwise you'll not get the drop grips on. Redshift have thought about this and provide a white line that depicts where the tape should start. And this position ensures that the end of the grip will cover the tape. I've taped 3 bars with Redshift tape, and previous batches have had the Redshift branding embossed along its length. To ensure that the branding showed uniformly on both sides of the bar, it was necessary to unwind the left side tape to ensure the brand showed when wrapping in the opposite direction. So you're effectively starting the wrap with the innermost part of the roll. I know of one person who got this wrong and had one side branded and the other side plain because he hadn't worked this one out. I won't embarrass him by naming him, but I'll just say that the latest tape doesn't have branding, so you'll have no problem in the future, Greg. So I wrapped it tightly, making sure that the adhesive strip was always on the bar and not overlapping the tape. The quality of the tape makes getting around the top grip straightforward, although care needs to be taken to make sure you are overlapping. And the kit includes some stretchy finishing tape, so you'll get a nice clean finish. One thing to note when fitting the drop grips, it's important to orient them correctly as they are handed. If you get it wrong, which I did the first time I fitted these, you'll end up with the securing screw facing outward, which does spoil the aesthetic. So with all that done, I put Gloria to bed, which would give the bar grip adhesive time to cure before the maiden ride in the morning. So if you want to see how that went, please subscribe, make sure you hit the bell, and then you'll be among the first to see it. So until then, thanks for watching and bye for now.